Hello and welcome to our Trash into Treasures podcast series on circular and resource-wise ways to make decisions in the everyday life. My name is Ann-Christine Richkoff. I'm coming from Click Innovation Ltd. and I will be your host today. And today's episode is all about one of the most debated materials in our everyday life, plastic. Plastic is everywhere. Packaging, electronics, clothes, furniture. And while it is a very useful material, it also is one of the biggest environmental challenges we face. But rather than simply banning plastics or blaming consumers, this conversation asks, how can we deal with the plastic more wisely and fairly in a truly circular way? Joining me today, we have two experts in the plastic field, Dr. Uğur Kaya from the Technical Research Center of Finland and Mika Surakka, who is the CEO on SUMI Oy. And you will bring experience from different parts of the plastic value chain, from policy and recycling to design and consumer engagement. So welcome, it's great to have you here. But before we dive into this plastic question, I would like you to present yourself very briefly and also tell a little bit that why plastics are interesting and why recycling and circularity in plastics is important for you. So shall we start with Mika, with you?
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I have been in 35 years already in plastic and plastic recycling business and doing the lot of different technologies studied and actions for the plastic recycling, and currently working for packages, not only plastic packages but all the package material, and the recycling for them it's very interesting and important. There's a lot of innovations, a lot of new technologies, new things coming, and it's of course the volumes are getting bigger and bigger and legislation is supporting so many challenges, and let's hope to get answers for those.
So what about you, Uğur?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. This is Uğur, working in VTT as a senior scientist. And I have actually around 20 years of experience with plastics. I'm plastics expert and also working in the circular plastics domain in the research area. And I think plastics are very important because it touches our everyday life in every aspect. And we have to think about it both from the consumer point of view and also the research point of view, together with the legislations, policy, and the market point of view. So that's very interesting and very comprehensive area.
So I think that we start with a big question. There's a lot of confusion, and it starts with the recycling bin. So we try to do our best to recycle plastics. We rinse, we sort, we toss plastics into recycling bins, but still there's lots of confusion. Do we do the right things, and why can't we actually recycle all the plastics in the same way, and why is it so complicated to our consumers? Do you have any insights on that?
I don't think it's not complicated because it's very simple, because now currently we have a plastic package collection system in Finland, and if it's a package, it's plastic and it's empty, it goes to the recycling bin. It's very simple, but if you ask that why there's not other plastic products, you cannot sort in the same way or same collection system. There's many things why we can't do that. One big thing is money, and the legislation say we have producer responsible for the packages, so the plastic package producers pay the recycling and the collection, and that's why they should pay then the toys or electronics or construction items. That's one thing. The other thing is that the packages are usually very small items, and all the infrastructure afterwards, recycling is designed for like a particle parts which are smaller than 20-liter canisters. But if we start to collect other plastic products also, those are bigger ones. And of course then the qualities of the plastic, because packages are mostly used in different polymers, but then in a construction business there's PVC, so it would be totally different combination of plastic polymers which would be there. So there's many reasons. And also the one big thing is that packages are usually maximum half-year old. So then we know which polymers they are and what kind of chemicals they are. But if we collect Other plastic products, they might be 20 years or 30 years old, and they might be such a chemicals which are not allowed to use anymore nowadays. So there's many different things, but of course the package is one of the biggest items in household, and let's recycle that, so then we make a biggest change.
Yeah. What about you, Uğur?
Yes, I fully agree with Mika's comments, and maybe I can complement with a few bullet points. So there are so many different plastics, and they, for example, contaminate each other's waste streams. And they're composed of also with many additives, many plasticizers, different chemicals inside, which makes it very difficult to recycle even within their own waste stream. So they have different degradations. Their quality also reduces in time and also during their lifetimes, not only home uses, not only packaging items, but also regards to textiles, automotive, or electronics. But it's true that the biggest change can come from the packaging recycling. So maybe it's better to emphasize that. But there are also several other limitations which makes it difficult to recycle everything, because we don't have enough infrastructure everywhere in Europe or globally to collect plastics, facilitate the logistics, sorting, pre-treatment, and eventually the recycling. And all the plastics require different recycling technologies, and there are different levels of cost.
Maybe a little bit simplified, because also everybody says that there's a metal recycling, but metal also includes a lot of different types of metals: iron, steel, copper, brass. It's the same thing in plastic. Many times people think that plastic is plastic. No, there are many different polymers, and to sort those different polymers, it's quite difficult.
And it's especially very difficult for the consumers, because they don't know that there's the different types of plastics, and they don't actually know that whether they should put everything in the same bin or should they separate somehow their plastic trash, and how to educate then people to let them really know that, okay, if you do that, it's for the common good and also for the future of this planet.
Like I said, that if it's a package and it's a plastic, it goes to the package collection system, and so that's the only thing consumer can do. And consumer doesn't need to know which polymer it is made, and then we have sorting facilities how to sort those different polymers and to make the recyclable. But of course it goes that way also, that the producer of the package has to design it that it's recyclable, because if we turn it around, that if all the packages were not recyclable, we cannot recycle anything. So first thing, the packages has to be recyclable, and then we can do it. But then, of course, there's also a lot of legislation, food approval, food safety, and there's chemicals which makes the recycling even more difficult.
Absolutely.
Yes, and also, basically what we do when we design a polymer or a packaging, we do it in a way that it serves the modern life expectancies. For example, it needs to have a certain shelf life. For example, 24 months of shelf life of a soda product, for example, or sausages or cheese packaging. They require all complex plastic packaging. But currently, what we have, for example, as an excellent recycling example is the PET bottles deposit return system, especially well established in Nordic countries. But it's not well established for all the other packaging materials like shampoo bottles or several other things. And we also shouldn't put all the burden to the consumer level. We have to, of course, educate them. There needs to be more initiatives, but we also have to facilitate more deposit return systems or reuse, refill kind of systems in our daily lives.
Have you any good examples of that? I mean, any suggestions that where we could start and what could be the first? Because the bottle system is very great and it works well, at least here in Finland, it works very well. But what could be the next example which could be as successful as the bottle collection system?
Yeah, I think currently there is a bit of challenge with the food contact systems in packaging because you cannot reuse a food contact packaging which is very thin layered or with having a lot of additives or contamination. But it can be started with the shampoo bottles, for example, or several other rigid plastics if you have a more durable plastic packaging, it can be reused more easily or refilled more easily.
Yeah, the one challenge with the plastic material, which is in benefit as a package, it's a light, but it comes a bad thing in a collection system, because then we have a very light transportation loads, and cost for the 1 kilo to transport plastic packages, empty packages, very much, and Finland is a big country. We don't have many people here. Our density population is very small, so transportation logistics is a problem. So it's a good thing when we are using the package, but it turns around afterwards. And like Uğur said, the plastic is a really high-tech product nowadays especially the food packages, that they have 10, 11, 12 layers, and they have each layer has a different procedure to have a good food safety. And that way, plastic is very environmental material because it makes the shelf life. We lose food less because we don't need to throw it away. So plastic is very environmental that way.
Right, let's go to another subject. And the question is that where does it all go? I mean, we sort and we put into the right bin, but what actually happens next? So where does all this plastic waste go? And how it really turns to be something new? Do we have systems to create some added value for the recycled plastics, and or do we just put them to the same bin and burn it, or what happens to it?
So in Finland currently the plastic packages are in SUMI. We sort them in Finland. So we have our cooperator NG Nordic in Riihimäki, who has a plastic package sorting plant where the packages are sorted to different polymers, and then different polymers are used for the new products. And one wish or instruction for the consumers is that please follow also our instruction advices, that unfortunately there's still too much other materials we are collecting with the plastic packages, and that makes the recycling and sorting more difficult. And I don't mean about the food waste or shampoo leftovers in the bottles, but there's still construction waste, electrical devices and such things, which makes the sorting difficult. But we recycle everything in Finland, and we just published last week that we will start building a new facility which is more efficient, bigger, and we can get the better recycling rates in future. Great. So it should be up and running next summer 26.
What about Uğur, you? I mean, you are doing a lot of research with the new ways to recycle and recycle plastics. You work with the mechanical one, but also with the chemical recycling method. So what would you say?
Yes, currently there are a lot of challenges to have a good quality feedstock for recycling, because we need, first of all, good collection schemes, and then also sorting and other pre-treatment. Like pre-treatment, we mean like washing. It can be to wash away the contaminants. And then there should be also other sorting techniques like optical sorting or magnetic sorting, electrical sorting. So there are many possibilities. But this is all to increase the potential of plastic waste to be transformed into new plastic articles. And but this is not homogeneously well established in Europe, and most of the waste we can easily say that it goes to incineration, landfilling, or they go to downcycling. For example, if you have a food grade item, because it's not well recycled or sterilized, it cannot be used for food application again. It also depends very much on the design for recycling. So if you would have, for example, designed the plastic packaging in a way that it can be more easily recycled, then it would be more easier to recycle it. And we would use it maybe again for the food application. But many of the waste, plastic packaging can go to a textile. For example, PET bottles go to a textile application very intensively, or they can go to other applications such as car, automotive manufacturing, or home appliances, or sometimes even composites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we are looking in the future these closed loops that we can say that like PT bottles, sometimes they are going back to a PT bottles, but also the mechanical recycling will be the main thing for the plastic recycling, and then we will add it and we will increase it a little bit with the chemical recycling. And also SUMI has had a lot of cooperation in Finland. There's a Finnish innovation waste-wise, and they have 2 reactors and which just started 1 month ago. So we have been doing also chemical recycling for those plastic components which cannot be mechanically recycled, and that also increased the recycling rate.
Of course, we have to think the mechanical recycling and chemical recycling as complementary technologies. They can also be used hand in hand, like one product, for example, one plastic waste can be sorted into streams that can be easily mechanically recyclable, which are more cleaner streams, but then if they are not that clean, if they are more contaminated, they can be more chemical recycled to be revalued into more purer products.
And it's also that chemical recycling benefit is that it can be used in a food contact.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of economic and perception type of barriers to have these recycled products in the market. First of all, virgin plastic is rather cheap. So how do you see that? How should these barriers overcome? I mean, one is the consumers and customers' perception, because they don't necessarily like to have something which is recycled because they think that the performance is not as good as the virgin ones. Do you have any ideas that how to overcome these kind of mental or actual like economic barriers?
Fortunately, that mindset has changed because like 20 years ago, the discussion was that the recycled product had to be cheaper but as good as the virgin material, and that I think it is because many times in plastic products, always the color is different. That we have a mixed color plastics, and then it's difficult to make the clear or exact color. So now it's more acceptable that recycled product can look like recycled product, and that can be changed. But I have always said that when the recycling really happens, it's not that if I have a factory and I make recycled products which nobody buys. It's always the recycling really happens when somebody makes the purchase decision for benefit of the recycled product. And that's the reason that we should get the pull from the market, that the people start to demand for the recycled products, because then industry will start making more of those. But like you mentioned, the problem is that the virgin plastic is very cheap, and many times the recycled product is more expensive. And consumers make the purchase decision many times based on price.
Based on price, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe there are many ways to cope this situation, and it can they will all feed each other. So if you design more recyclable or safe and sustainable by design products and introduce them into the market, then maybe it will be easier to recycle them. Also in terms of aesthetics, for example, if you design more white articles or more black articles, their color will be less challenging to cope with and tune in the future for the new product. And we also need to raise awareness in the consumer level with education, with more campaigns and initiatives by the governments and non-profit organizations. And it will come soon, but it already have progressed a lot. There is a big momentum, but we still need to raise awareness and also make people more familiarized with the real impact of plastic waste.
And we even saw that increase of the collection, that plastic packages from household were collected 15% more last year than year before. So there's an increase and people get to know those things. But we are still collecting about 50% and the recycling rate should be 50. Yeah. So if we collect 50, it's very difficult to recycle 50. So we should get the collection rate much higher, but there's still work. So everybody is a consumer and can do that.
Yeah. So what about the support from the governments and the policy decision makers? Do we have enough right kind of regulation or policy incentives to support also the customers and citizens' buying decisions?
Actually, there is a lot of new legislation coming from EU, and I don't know if it's the right kind, but there's a lot of changes will come, and it will be valid in 26 August. PPWR, which is the package waste regulation. So there's a lot of changes will come, and the one big thing is that there has to be in future recycled content. So every package has to have a certain amount of the recycled material. So of course that will create the demand, but that also that we can find that kind of enough good quality for the packages and especially the food contact. It's challenges, but of course the legislation is pushing that we have to find the markets, and then it will also increase the recycling.
Would public procurement systems help in that?
Of course, but it will take some time, and industry will find the way how to do the recycled content for them. But I have been calculating in Finland, we are still missing a lot of capacity, and even if we have the capacity, the machinery there, where we can find the feedstock, and that's always always the issue that we have to have the feedstock.
Yes, there's also competition between energy usage, so incineration, and also the plastic conversion into new plastic products. And it also comes from the energy demand in different countries at different levels, and also the cost of recycling or pre-treatment and sorting. So these are also some factors that is affecting. But I believe there are some ways to reduce the cost of plastics, plastic recycling. And one of the root causes of the high cost of plastics is the high cost of production of good quality recyclates. So if you would like to really collect well, sort well, pre-treat well, and then recycle, it will add up much additional cost to the real cost of the plastic product. And this cannot compete with the virgin plastics currently. And because virgin plastics have such a good established system for production at large scale. So in order to compete with this, maybe governments can be more active in taking initiatives to provide more incentives for the recycling companies or pre-treatment companies, increase the ownership of the waste, because the waste is currently not that much owned easily. And
to make the recycling business or profitable business, it's always needs volumes, and that's, like I said in the beginning, that it's a problem that Finland is a small country, and how to create the volumes. And one thing how we can create the more volumes is that we unify the packages, like has happened in the past years, that in certain applications, say all the industry is using same kind of polymer, same kind of like PET bottles. There used to be PVC bottles, there was PET bottles. Now all of them are unified, so it's much easier to recycle because they are the same kind.
Yeah.
And that's also coming that the industry is unifying a lot of packages.
Yeah. So what about the cooperation with other Scandinavian countries or Baltic countries? Would that be something for Finland?
Of course, there's a cooperation also, but then we have to say that also this is like competitive issue for the industry. So sometimes they don't want, if they get the new type of package that they can create 1 week longer shelf life, it's their secret. They want to keep it secret because it's a benefit for them.
Yeah. So I was very interested what you say, Uğur, that there's a sort of competition between the energy production and material production when it comes to the plastic waste. So it's always question of trade-offs in between. So who is actually deciding that whether it goes to energy or to materials?
It's probably the energy demands overall in the country, and then also the demand for the recycled plastics. So when there is a balance between costs and the demands, I think that's determined in that point.
Yeah.
And also already in Finnish legislation, it says that even industry has to have a separate collection for packages. Plastic, cardboard, metal and glass, if there's a certain amount of them coming. But also in Finnish legislation we have already that if you have a waste sorted for recycling, it's not allowed to put it in incineration in energy. So it's only for the mixed waste.
Yeah.
And of course, like Finland is trying to minimize the mixed waste, so there also is that incineration is getting smaller and smaller for the waste.
We are in a way living in a very turbulent times now, and I think that this kind of country's self or security of supply issues are coming more and more important, and I think that also can be seen in this question whether you should materials for energy or to something else. Has it changed something in your research area or your daily business area?
We have seen the difference because the global situation is totally different nowadays, like it was 2, 3, or 4 years ago. So there's more that we have to have a certain raw materials in our country, and unfortunately we don't have oil wells in Finland, so we have to have a plastic. We need a plastic also in a difficult situation. So the recycling is the only way. So we have to be ready for that also, and has been changed the discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would say due to the nature of recycling, you will always lose some of the properties gradually. So at the end of the day, when you recycle one plastic waste for maybe 5 to 10 times, then that plastic will most likely be not recycled anymore. And then it can go to incineration.
Yeah, it's a cascading principle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we also evaluate the total life cycle or thermoeconomic analysis of all the processes that we apply in our projects, in research projects. So it can be an automotive application, packaging, textile, home appliances, or electronics. And we employ different recycling technologies and also different pre-treatment sorting. So we try to evaluate realistically the life cycle or the carbon emission of each step, so that we can have a better judgment of if we should incinerate something, or if we should employ chemical recycling, or if we should apply mechanical, or some people say thermomechanical recycling. And then we will have a better picture, overall picture for each product or each value chain.
So we have seen that there's bans on plastic bags, maybe some takeaway cups and so forth. But is this banning really an answer to the question?
I have never understood why plastic is so much demonized. That it's because it's very useful and very good material. And like I always said, that every material in the right place is a good material, and we just have to use it. And plastic is very strong, light, safe material for package, and we save so much petrol because we don't transport heavy glass bottles or metal. So plastic is much more lighter. So that way it's environmental material already. So only thing what we have to do is that we have to have a good waste collection system. And we have a lot of discussion about plastics in ocean, and it's not plastic's fault that it's there. It's the people who put it there. And there's a very bad waste collection systems in some countries that they are dipping the mixed waste to the rivers, and metal will sink, glass will sink. People don't see it. Cardboard will dilute the bio-waste animals eat. But then what happens? Plastic is floating to the ocean. So it's not the plastic's fault. We should have a good systems in all over the world, like we have in Europe, waste collection system, and then we handle the waste properly.
Yeah, I think bans for plastic is not a silver bullet alone. We really need other precautions. For example, we can start with the banning of single-use plastics that are nice to have in our lives, but not must-haves. So, for example, this banning of plastic straws, I think it's a good example, and it can really leak into oceans and rivers and end up like really big plastic pollution that will be very detrimental for the nature. But we also have to remember, as Mika says, like we really need plastics in our modern lives. Take, for example, medical uses. Without disposable medical items, even the packaging medical plastics, we cannot really do things and operate without hygiene. But of course, we also I think this plastic packaging waste regulation that will come in act in August will be very important to push the companies to design their products in a more recyclable way. For example, this monomaterial approach, and to push the companies to make products in a leaner way, not very complicated way, but still sustaining the features of the product.
Yeah. So, what do you think about combining bans with good design improvements and reuse systems? Is there any idea on that?
Of course, we need all of them, and still, if you look history of plastic, it's quite young. So there's a lot of innovation and a lot of things can be done, and a lot of new technology will come, and it will help for the recycling, because usually it comes that the recycling comes a little bit behind that. Whenever they came the mobile phones in the markets, the recycling was not ready, but mobile phone recycling started 20 years later when it comes, and it's the same thing about plastics, that we need to have just time, but of course, do we have the time? Yeah. We have to react very quickly now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, maybe one good aspect for the reuse and refill systems is we can produce more durable plastics instead of very lightweight or easy to tear apart plastics. Then they will also be more recyclable. Yeah. It will be more easier to sort if you consider a rigid plastics instead of a really thin layered, tan layered plastics. It will be just more easy to collect as well.
Yeah. So the single-use plastic seems to be the issue in the sense. Is there any alternatives to single-use plastics which would be more environmental acceptable?
I think the single-use plastics, many of them are good products, but it's again about the people that they have to put them in a right collection system, and because many of those single-use plastics are very easy to recycle. Yeah. We just don't, because they disappear from our collection system and it doesn't come to the sorting and recycling. But of course, like we said here, that like over packaging or over products, the products we don't really need in daily life, those we can try to minimize those and ban those. And of course, every company tries to reduce the weight of the packages all the time because it's cost saving for them, and that should be done.
Yeah. Maybe one good example could be a metal straw, or using glass or some other rigid plastic items that we always bear with ourselves. For example, for water, just for water, we don't then buy new water bottle. But if we can refill our water bottle, then it will be just more sustainable and more cost-friendly also for our own pockets.
Yes. So basically, there's a lot to do with the awareness of people in a way that they treat this plastic in the right way, and at the end of the use, they.
Yeah, you have to think that their waste is valuable raw material for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So put it in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go back to the citizens and everyday life, how or would this circular economy for plastics actually look like from the citizens' point of view? Any ideas? This is a huge question, but actually I think it's a very interesting question.
Yeah, and even in Finland we can see that there's a lot of variation about the countryside or city centers, how people behave and what are the collection systems, what are the possibilities to have a sorting there. So there's a lot of changes, and we have studied because the behavior, that how we can increase the collection rate of plastic packages, it's very difficult, because how to change the people mindset, because they are just people who don't care about recycling or sorting, and they will not do it. And then there are people who are doing 100%, and we should, like average, we should increase, and it's really complicated. And also in our case about the sorting instruction, it's also already difficult, because in Helsinki 25% of people doesn't speak Finnish anymore. So we should have a multi-language or like pictures there, how to instruct people. So it's a challenge. World is changing. Our country is changing with them.
Yeah.
From a consumer perspective, maybe the like totally circular system would be like the consumers have to be really educated with what they are dealing with. So if they are disposing one article, they have to know where it really goes. If it goes to incineration, or if it goes to plastic sorting and then recycling. And if they are reusing, they have to know like what kind of carbon they are saving by doing that. And maybe this needs some more transparency in the value chain. And these new concepts of digital product passports and also more regulations on that can support this as well.
But somehow you have to motivate the consumers and also give them some kind of courage to change their behavior.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that's a difficult part.
Yeah, it's a difficult part, and the consumer, that they really understand and know which is the most or the best way for environment and what they are doing. Because there has been also greenwashing, false information. There's also legislation coming that companies have to inform the right way. But the biggest thing what consumer can do is a purchase decision, that they buy those things which are environment friendly and on behalf of the recycling and recyclable material. And of course, the best purchase will create less waste if you don't do the purchase. But that's also that we don't want to stop the economy, because we need the economic growth. We need the purchases.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's another trade-off in a way, that you need to reduce, but then again you have to have the economic facts in place. And
because there's a lot of things that say that we have to have less waste, but if we create less waste, it means that we have a less economy, and that's the balance. But we can minimize the over waste.
Yes,
that we are not using unnecessary waste, so that we have to do it.
And also to create new economy via these recycled products. So basically, the consumer's behavior is a good start. Is there any kind of wrong or inadequate beliefs within the consumers that somehow prevent them to sort?
The one belief is about the washing about packages before that it's acceptable sorting. No, you don't need to wash them. So consumer don't need to wash it, because after the sorting, all the plastic goes to industrial washing, which is much better. And then we save much for the water there. The only thing is that if you are like marinated chicken or something, that maybe you can have a napkin and you can wipe the most of it away. But it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of marinade. But of course, if there's a chicken legs or something like that, that we have to be taken away. So, like I said, if it's a package, it's a plastic and it's empty. That's enough.
And maybe consumers can also mix up the mechanical recycling and chemical recycling. Mechanical recycling, for example, it also means you melt the plastic and then reshape into new product. So it's not only crushing the plastics into small pieces or reshaping in a way that you don't need heat. It also needs some energy utilization, and it also needs a lot of additives during compounding into a new formulation.
It's time to wrap up this episode on circular plastics, and by shifting from linear to circular thinking, we can keep plastics in use longer, reduce waste, and create a system that works for people and the planet. I would like to thank you, and before we stop this episode, is there anything you want to share with your audience, some takeaways or...
I just want to say that the plastic is part of our life. We cannot go to the life without the plastic. So it's so important, like mentioned here in medicals and the food safety, and so let's just do it properly after the end life stream is sorted properly. Follow the instructions and let's get the collection rate high.
I believe we shouldn't put all the burden to the consumers as well. And
industry is very important.
Yes, and the industry has to take more responsibility, especially with these concepts like extended producer responsibility. But consumers can also employ these kind of strategies while buying products. For example, they can choose not according to the cost, but more according to durability. Like 30 years ago, we had more durable textiles. They had more quality, but nowadays we emphasize more on the fashion side and cost side. So that adds a lot to the circularity, I believe.
Thank you very much. It was really great to have you here, Uğur and Mika.
Thank you.
And I also would like to thank our audience for tuning in. So if you have found this episode useful, feel free to share it and check out our other episodes in this series for more on how circularity can become part of your everyday life. Until next time, stay tuned.